Hello and welcome to another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about Juniper Acres. Juniper Acres. So, there's a lot of people out here for a lot of different reasons. My own personal reason for being out here is mortgage-free $1 million view. Like, I can see 9 Cascade Mountains. My view on certain days is, like I said, it's a $1 million view. So if you look at this place from like a satellite view, it's like, ew. But when you get here in certain spots, the view's insane. Well, okay, that's me. Then there's people out here. I've met people that basically got sick and it just crumbled their whole lives. Like their bills from being sick, and they just got out here on their last dollar, and this is all they have. And a lot of people, so my property has a CUP, which all the properties out here don't, and that enables the property to be built into a home. So, and the properties with those are more expensive, and the ones without are less expensive. So, and there's a moratorium on issuing those currently, right? And this video is kind of my plan on how to try to fix that, right? So, and there's other people out here that are super into like horses, right? So they can get, you know, a chunk of property for pretty inexpensive, and they can have their horses. Apparently there was people out here growing weed because that's what the fucking fascist drug cops were out here in like a military style raid, right? So, and just like, you know, talking shit about just generalizing Juniper Acres and saying, oh, they're all this or they're all, is such an ignorant statement. I mean, there is people out here that are such amazingly good people. Like, fucking, I've met some actually really fucking cool people. Super nice. Okay, now as an example, I have basically 3 neighbors, okay? So I have like a retired couple, I have a family, or 2 families, okay? One family is like, you know, your normal family, except they're raising their kids to go to the military, which is, I never understood that. Parents wanting their kids to go in the military. Why would you spend so much time and effort raising a kid and then, oh, they died because we put them in the military? Like, shit, man. But to each their own. So then the other neighbor is, I mean, these other neighbors, I don't know where this is at, but like filed restraining order paperwork. And this guy shoots guns, and he is out in the middle of the night fucking screaming for no reason. Him and I got into it. We were road crew one day. All the neighbors were out working together to fix the road. The water truck parked on the road that he needed to get in. He refused to drive around the water truck to get into his house. Instead, he called 911 and started fucking screaming. And then I get there, and he's calling me F-word, F-A-G. I don't want this video to get freaking demonetized. I don't have monetization, but F-A-G-G, so he called me internet F, backhoe F, you know. And so I got in his face, like, you got a problem, let's just get down, you know? Why fucking run your neck when we can box, right? Yeah, he didn't want to box, but then the cops showed up, and I was already fucking took off. It's like fucking retard. So, and I bring this up as an example of what I believe to be the ratio of people out here. So, now I consider myself a good neighbor, right? I mean, I'm out there, fuck man. I'm like $4,000 worth of my own time and money into working on the road. Right? I mean, if that isn't a good neighbor, I don't know what is. I mean, I'm out here yelling and screaming sometimes when I fucking hurt myself, you know. Fuck, you know. So, you know, if that bothers people that I'm out here hurting myself and I scream fuck when I hurt myself, then, you know, I can't do anything about that. But anyway, I consider myself a good neighbor, and I consider out of the here's 4 of us in this little section, right? 3 of us are good, nice people, right? Then there's 1 that's a fucking, I mean, this fool. When I called him a pedophile, he shut the fuck up like in 5 seconds, right? And he's got 3 little girls. And he had like neighbors babysitting all of a sudden, and all of a sudden he just started driving people away. And I'm like, man, that kind of sounds like somebody that's doing something they don't want to get caught for doing. And he shut his mouth right then and there. So I might be onto something with that dude. Sick world. He literally was born with fucking 1 bad eye and decided to have kids. Like, anyway. So I'm making an example here. Out of 4, you got 3 good, 1 bad. Okay? So to say this place, and there's people that are super, there's shit going on out here. It's kind of amazing, really. Like fucking ginormous. I haven't been there. They're huge fucking buildings. I don't know what's going on in them, but some kind of farming thing or something. I don't know. But it's really quite cool what a lot of people have done out here. And there's all kinds of people out here. So, now we're going to get to the gist of this video. Okay? Because I just want to explain that to people. Like, I think that just, like I've run into classism, like mainly from the internet secretary at the Web for Mix, right? Straight up classism. Oh, you live in Juniper Acres. Yeah, okay. So anyway, I'm trying to address this issue. Why people with Juniper Acres, this and that. And it's because, of that 1 in 4 people out here that's given the place a bad name. Like, so mainly these people, I would say, are just, the cause and the problems are just broke people trying to get by, right? Well, believe it or not, in my opinion, through years of research about the subject, I think there's a hidden gold mine out here in Juniper Acres. And I'll tell you what I think that is. Okay, number 1, we have to go into a little history of Juniper Acres as far as like the ecology is concerned, okay? So currently, when you look around the landscapes, you see a lot of juniper trees, a lot of sage, and some other weird bushes that I don't really know what they are, and then a little bit of clumps of grasses that aren't doing very well, okay? Now, what this area was, prior to it being opened up in the 60s to vets, which I don't understand why they do shit like that. Hey, vets, go live out here with no running water and no electricity. Thanks for your service. Like, what the fuck were you thinking, Prineville or Crook County or whoever? Like, were they giving the property to the vets for free? No. So, anyway, before it was that, it was probably Les Schwab's fucking cow runs, if I had to guess, because Les Schwab is huge out here, and he got all his initial money on cows, right? But so anyways, cows. So you think about what cows do, and in this area, what they do is they have these huge areas, and they're just like, okay, cows in there. Well, the cows just wander around, right? Eating what they want to eat, when they want to eat it, wandering here, there, doing whatever they want. And a cow's going to go for what it wants, most delectable, okay? So basically what happened is the cows just ate most of the grasses, enabling the sagebrush to come up and the junipers to come up, okay? Now, what it was before it was cattle is, going way back, we'll try to go, what it was before it had any sort of, human interaction other than just like Native Americans, right? So there were herds of like antelopes or something. I'm not exactly sure. Possibly like mountain goats. There's probably a few herd animals that roamed around out here. And the way they roamed was in tight little packs, right? So, and this is intensive grazing, right? So when the animals are all scared by predators, they stay in a very tight pack and they eat everything. They don't have the option to be picky, okay? So everything gets eaten down to a certain extent, trampled, lots of urine and feces, bam, then the predator comes, boof, they're scared, they run away, and that area is then left to recover like completely before animals come in, okay? So this was how it worked. And that's why there was a lot less junipers, a lot less sage, okay? Now, I've been doing all kinds of experiments around my property pretty much since I got here. And I've been able to get probably, I'm going to guess like 3 or 4 grass varieties that were not here, I did not see on my property, but then by doing the experiments, they came back. Now, I got these concepts from this guy that greens the deserts, damn it, Jeff Lawton, okay? So he does things like in Jordan, before we attacked Iraq, they had this huge program to regreen their deserts, right? Which is going to freaking do more for global warming than anything, right? Well, all the war and their influx of refugees, they couldn't afford these programs anymore. Lovely. Isn't war great? So Jeff Lawton was in Jordan repairing areas, and guess what? These species of plants that they thought were extinct come back. Yeah, they come back, okay? So there is a way, and through regenerative agriculture, you can actually repair the land. Now, what this would mean for areas like Juniper Acres, Juniper Canyon, would mean that they would be a lot more fire resistant, okay? Because right now, what you have is, on my property, and it's pretty typical, I don't have a lot of the really huge old junipers that are around. There are lots that I guess are like 1,000-year-old trees and stuff, right? But, it's just a mixture of trees. And this is where people are confused. People think a tree's a tree, but really a juniper in some areas is going to be super beneficial, like a straight up desert that you're trying to take from straight up desert back to something, junipers. But in these grasslands, they're not what you want because they don't really go too deep with their roots. They're not bringing up much, and they're not sequestering much carbon because they grow very slowly, and they, a lot of their roots, because I've pulled a lot of them up with the backhoe, just, so I see the root systems very clearly. And, mostly it's going out sideways. And if you look around them, there's not much going on around them. They kill off a lot of the grasses that are in the immediate area. Probably from, like the acidification of the soil due to the berries dropping, leaves. I'm guessing. Don't quote me on that. Okay. So, anyway, it's a problem, right? Now, so how does this all equal that Juniper Acres is a gold mine? Okay, well, because it's literally this super vibrant grassland that just needs to be reenacted, reinvigorated, right? And the way you do that is with herd animals and intensive grazing. Okay, so initially, what ideally a master plan would look like for Juniper Acres is a little burning in some areas, right? So, cutting down trees, making, piles, not, trampling sage, right? And then other places, the goats can just kind of take care of it all on their own. But they're not going to eat like freaking, stalks of wood. Now, that stuff will eventually break down, but just burning it off is like a Kickstarter to that little area too. So it's super beneficial, right? That's another thing, that fire used to go through here, but it would just like, just burn the tops of the grass off and whatever little shrubs, and it'd prune back the sage, and it was a healthy thing. When you take away that, you take away the grazing animals, then you totally ruin the ecology, right? And you get more runoff, and it just changes the environment completely, okay? So, and the animals, there's like this beautiful, I don't remember what it was. Kind of, it's not a quail, because we have quails, but some other bird that's just beautiful. But it can't deal with all these trees because its predators get in the trees to get up on them, right? So basically, if you have a bunch of junipers, you don't have those. I don't remember what they're beautiful though. They're like a big chicken or something, So anyway, it totally changes the ecology. Now, honestly, I don't know what the herd animal was out here, wherever, whenever. It was deers and maybe antelopes. I'm like, I don't know. Anyway, so you go in, some burning, but goats, right? Goats. And with the intensive grazing methods, okay? So they go in. So now we start to develop really good grass. Now, once that starts to happen, then you add sheep, okay? Because sheep are going to be, because lamb, right, is going to be a much more profitable, product than goat, right? A goat will have some meat selling issues, but really what the goats are for, is their milk. So, and this is where the gold mine comes in, okay? So what is in Juniper Acres? What do we have out here, right? Well, lots of juniper, lots of sage. I've been talking about that, which is kind of the weeds. But this is where the gold mine sits. So you have goats making milk, okay? Then what you have is you have a collection of juniper berries and a collection of sage. Now what you do is you make essential oil out of the sage, essential oil out of the juniper berries. You turn the goat's milk into goat's milk soap, okay? Now you infuse that goat's milk soap with the juniper berries and the sage. Bam. And a combination of the two, either or, with or without, okay? Now you have a literal product that is being created 100% in juniper, well, except for like the lye or whatever that makes the soap, which is super cheap and easy to get a hold of. So aside from that, there's an entire industry that is creating jobs, fixing the environment, and, producing something that is actually a real thing that people need, right? People actually need soap. It's not like making a fucking, a keychain or something like that. That's pretty pointless, But, and this is something that, and it's really something that has to be done on like a community level with this area, right? I mean, it needs to be people that own the properties letting the goats on their properties, right? That, because a lot of properties are just like people's investment properties out here, and they just don't do anything with them at all, right? So if we can contact these people and say, hey, look, and really what the master plan of all this is to get the people that live out here that don't really have anything going on, they don't have any ability to get anything going on, and to drive all the way to Prineville or to drive all the way to Bend for a job is just beating up a car that they can't really afford. You know what I'm saying? So a job out here that can pay them a freaking decent wage for doing stuff, within walking distance of their house, right? To give these people enough money in their pocket to where we can then go to a lawyer and say, and there's a special lawyer that we have to go to, and say, okay, lawyer, we want you to get us on the ballot to create us a road district. Okay? So then the lawyer goes through this process, then we are literally on the ballot. And we will get when we vote, everybody out here that's eligible to vote and yada, 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 in their voter thing, they will have it special. Won't be anywhere else in the county, won't be anywhere else in the state. It'll be just for us. And this will be, do you want to pay for a road district? Now, a lot of people out here, my taxes are like $40 a year or something, which I'm sure it'll be more once I'm up to the house level. But right now, it's like $40 a year. So there's probably a lot of people that are right around there, right? And I think this road district makes that $140 a year for like 25 years. And then it'll go back to whatever it is. And that will be paid off after 25 years. If I remember all that information correctly, okay? So that's what I think. I mean, I've spent, like I said, time, labor combined, $4,000 of my own time working on the road. And other than the fact that there's not 2 puddles that there used to be, yeah, I can't really tell. So getting a professional company in here to put a proper road in. Now we get a proper road in. Now, this part of the caveat would really be the ultimate, okay? So then if we could create like a homeowners association out here, okay? Now this would be a homeowners association that probably wouldn't have any dues because it would be tied to this whole business of soap manufacturing and essential oil manufacturing, right? But on top of that, what I spoke about earlier with the county has put a moratorium on new CUP issues out here. Okay, so, and that makes properties more valuable, okay? So then phase whatever of this plan is to get in touch with the boss of the county, which I think it's a judge or something that runs Crook County. Not sure. But I want to sit down with this guy or have somebody sit down with him for me, like maybe a lawyer or something would be probably more appropriate to get these types of things done. But the plan is this, right? And I don't even know if this can be done, but it might be able to be done. Basically, the theory is say, hey, look, we're doing all this out here, right? We're getting our own road fixed. We want that released, but we only want Crook County to okay CUPs that the Juniper Acres HOA approves first, right? In other words, we want control as the neighbors of Juniper Acres of what properties and who gets CUPs, right? And this is how we make this area a little better ratio than 3-to-1, okay? So not just anybody that's a horrible person can just, get a CUP. Okay? That's simple, right? And this goes a bit further. Now, you think about it like this. Now, as a HOA, we have the power to get CUPs. Okay. So what we do is we then, as an HOA or a company, I don't know how the legal stuff will work, but this is the plan. That entity buys these properties that are for sale that do not have a CUP. And then We employ our own people out here to then build out totally good places, and then put those for sale. There's going to be a profit margin on that, okay? That profit margin then goes back into, the HOA or the company that the employee-owned company, possibly, that Juniper Acres becomes like an employee-owned company, an HOA. I don't know. Like, again, I don't know how to set all that stuff up. I'm merely providing the framework, and I've passed this out to a couple people. Somebody's response was yes, but they have money, so they have absolutely no motivation. I passed it to my neighbor. I got no response whatsoever. I gave it to these other neighbors, and they called it a bake sale. So, everybody has their opinion. But the reason I bring this up, and now I'm kind of like, because I put this out a long time ago and kind of just was like, whatever. But somebody showed up to my door yesterday, right? The guy because somebody in my comments said, oh, we're glad to hear it wasn't you that RV blew up out of Juniper. I hadn't heard a thing about it other than literally that comment. Nothing about it. Okay, so that guy showed up to my door yesterday. Very sad. His wife committed suicide by exploding the RV. So he's hiring me to bury the fucking thing. The RV, the burnt RV. Very sad to hear this, right? And this makes me, hearing this, makes me want to go, God, would she have killed herself if there was this kind of thing going on out here? If there was if she had a nice little fucking where she worked a few hours a week in the soap factory or whatever, and now she can whatever, now she didn't kill herself, right? That's why I made this video today. Hopefully nobody else will kill themselves out here, because I don't want to hear about all that. It's too sad. So anyway, peace.